Hi, Bob. How are we doing?
Not bad at all.
Well, I was just reading. Certainly, it looks like somewhere between 30 and 60 trillion dollars of wealth have disappeared throughout the world. Certainly, that is the collapse of the world stock market, the collapse of the value of of property throughout the world. 30 to 60 trillion dollars, and of course, they say, well, we're just going to solve this. We're going to just have one more bailout, $819 billion, and of course, we're going to spend this to bail us out. We're going to give money for control of, sexually transmitted diseases, and we're going to put out money to try to bail the states out, and somehow that's going to solve the problem. And of course, they're not trying to solve the problem. If you wonder why the foreclosures continue, why the price of houses continues to drop, why people continue losing their jobs, the real truth is they don't want to solve the problem, but they want to give you the impression that they're trying to solve the problem so that you will not rise up in your righteous indignation and demand that all of our congressmen, just about all of them, and everybody in government be repealed because they're all lackeys for a small group of people who really control this government. There are about 87 of them in the Trilateral Commission, 87 Americans in the northern chapter. There's about 120 people there, but you'll find them all there in key positions in the Obama regime, and of course they control our economics. They always have. They usually control the World Bank, and they control the Fed. Well, 3 of the last chairmen of the Feds have come from the Trilateral Commission. 8 of the last 10 presidents of the World Bank have come from the Trilateral Commission. I think 7 of the last 9 secretaries of defense and 8 of the last 10 secretaries of state. They all come from this same little clique of people that really run our government. And of course, the last thing they want is the American people to know that they are trying to destroy our economy. That's why they're not doing anything logical to try to stop this cascade of collapse that is coming down, not only all across America, but all across the world. Bob, you pick up the story.
Well, in the aftermath of last week's World Economic Forum in Davos in Switzerland, we got a lot of mixed information coming out of there. And obviously, some of the people who were there who are in relatively high places don't know what the plan is, because they were arguing with the others that do know what the plan is, and it made for a lively World Economic Forum. Joe Stiglitz, former World Bank economist and Nobel Prize winner, said what's being done is insanity, like what you just described.
Well, basically, it's only insanity if you don't know what you're doing. They do know what they're doing. I think they're being very, very successful as the cascade of unemployment increases and home foreclosures and the plants shutting down. I think they're doing a great job if what you want to do is destroy our economy.
Well, Joe Stiglitz obviously doesn't know that.
I'm sure he doesn't. I rather like
because he wouldn't have been saying what he was saying had he been in on it.
I rather like Joe Stiglitz. I think he's not a bad individual.
No, I don't either, and I think he's attained what he's attained. But on the other hand, I don't think he's on the inside.
I don't think he is either. Well, we're going to.
So with that said, there were others who said the same thing.
Hold that thought. We'll be right back, Bob. Well, this is Dr. Stan here at Radio Liberty. Our guest this afternoon is Bob Chapman from the International Forecaster, and we're talking about what happened last week at the meeting on Davos, where they had, of course, the leaders of the World Economic System were all meeting there, and a lot of them really don't understand. Some of these people honestly think that, what's going on doesn't make any sense. These people have to be insane. That's what Joe Stiglitz, who's a Nobel Prize-winning economist, said. There has to be insane. Well, they're not insane, ladies and gentlemen. The people in charge know exactly what they're doing. They are not trying to stop the shutdown of our industries. They're not trying to stop the skyrocketing unemployment. They're not trying to stop the foreclosures on the homes. That's why they didn't buy up all the mortgages when they had the opportunity. And $700 billion, Henry Paulson couldn't even give the money away. And of course, the banks had plenty of money. They didn't need to be refinanced. They didn't need to be liquefied. It was all a scam. Anything to give the impression they were doing something, while of course they are really husbanding this whole collapse of the economic system and the destruction of the value of our currency and the impoverishment of the American people. Pick the story up, Bob.
And that got very little coverage. And actually, the forum did get relatively good coverage over CNBC, but the only people who were interviewed were people who were in the Illuminati. So we get the full dose of the insider's inside. Another thing that was not reported at all that I've seen, and every time I've gone to the sources available to us in the United States on this, there's been nothing there. And I got a couple of articles in Europe on the subject and some conversation. But there was a very large demonstration, and the police had to break it up with tear gas. And they were blaming the bankers for causing all of these problems and so on and so forth. And so it was probably the roughest time that the internationalists have had at any of those meetings. And maybe they won't even have one next year. That was pretty rough. And they have thousands of security people there.
Well, of course, the thing is that the last thing they want is for the world as a whole to understand they really intended this to happen. We'll be right back. Yeah, this is Dr. Stan, and Bob was just saying that the meeting over in Davos, there were a lot of demonstrations. The police had to intervene, use tear gas, but of course you can always be sure they're going to be agent provocateurs in those crowds. That is the technique that they use. Prototype would have been the anti-war demonstrations during Vietnam, where, of course, the whole anti-war movement was financed by the very people who were pushing the war. We saw this at the Democratic conventions, I think in 1969, somewhere there, 67 or 69, whereas, of course, the whole opposition was financed by the people who wanted to discredit anybody who objected to what was going on. We saw this in the riots in Seattle. We've got a great 4-tape set on that. The riots in Seattle, against the world economic leaders. And it was the world economic leaders who actually organized the opposition. You always want a controlled opposition. And, of course, so that you can lead it, so it will accomplish nothing. Go right ahead, Bob.
Well, anyway, I think it was more than they bargained for. And, there's been disturbances all over Europe and Eastern Europe over the past month, and in China, very bad rioting. Millions have been laid off, and they got no place to go. They go back home. There's nothing there.
I understand, but about 10 million people have lost their jobs over in China so far. Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah, that's correct. And they've been taking on the military with their bare hands. I mean, that's how bad the situation is. And people say, China's this and China's that, good things. And that's not true. I mean, the banking system's outside $1.3 trillion in bad debts to party members. It's still a dictatorship. It's still communism. And they still herd the people around like they were wild animals. They still have restrictions on breeding. And now they may be sitting on a couple of $1 trillion worth of foreign exchange. But I don't think that in the long run, that's going to help them an awful lot.
But because a lot of that is American dollars, they are the major source of funding for America's deficit. I mean, we basically, they used to tell us we had to borrow $2 billion a day. It's got to be probably twice that much. Now, it looks like the deficit for this coming year will be pretty close to $2 trillion at least. and it may be a lot more than that. And so where does the money come from? Well, we either borrow it from overseas or we print it here and destroy the value of our currency.